Hey guys, good afternoon. It is afternoon. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. It's NFL schedule release day. We're going to be doing a members only program tonight. At some point after the schedule is out, we'll let you know in advance about that through various means. But again, there's going to be a members only live show tonight that'll be just about the schedule. What I want to talk about today on Double Shot, which is what this is the next WR2, such as it is. Because we don't have names. We don't even have one name in this regard. But what we have are a couple of issues that arose from the George Pickens trade. One of them made me really uncomfortable, to be honest with you. And really, because it really felt over the top, even for Steeler Nation. And that's this idea that just because they traded George and they got a third-round pick back, that they were somehow punting on the 2025 season. That felt to me like you started over here and you ended up way over there and you skipped everything in between, which is no, okay? It is mid-May. And the most important thing, I think, that we can look ahead to in this specific context is that Omar Khan himself isn't just insisting that he's going to go and get himself a WR2, but he did something a little bit unusual the other day at rookie minicamp. And I don't know how many people are familiar with this. He did an unannounced, anything, the press conference. This is the Steelers GM position, I will remind you, the one that was held by Kevin Colbert for a zillion years. And it's always been one of those positions where you only hear from the guy once or twice a year. And Omar just was kind of winging it that day. And he said, you know what? I have something to say. And within about half hour or 45 minutes, there was Omar, just like that, popping into the media room. And he did, in fact, have something to say. What he wanted to get out was the message that he's committed to getting a WR2. Now, he can't promise that he's going to get one. You don't have transactions until you have transactions. And it does take two to make a transaction. But he went really far, in my view, to get it across that, A, he's going to replace George, and B, what is this punting thing? And he had to reiterate that the Steelers are completely committed to the 2025 season. Now, you can do that. You can commit to the current or the upcoming season without necessarily forfeiting your future. And that's part of what I like about the current dynamic of some of his moves, in particular, the accumulation of assets, all these extra draft picks. Because if the Steelers don't currently have their quarterback of the future, their franchise quarterback already in-house, and one would probably assume that they don't, then they're leaving themselves a viable option for the 2026 draft to make sure that they're at least equipped to go ahead and do that. Does that make sense? That's what this GM wants to do. And he's at least confident enough that he can do it, that he took this, in the Steelers world, extraordinary step of making this known to the public through us reporter types. When we come back, we're going to be joined by Chris Halleck to talk more about this.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
back, I want to hear what you have to say about WR2 while we wait for Chris. He's got some technical complications on his end over there in Chris headquarters. Let's hear what you have to say about WR2. Do you feel that there's a chance that WR2 could already be in-house? I'm not exactly closed off to the idea, but I really don't see it. And anybody who wants to just promote Calvin Austin to the position doesn't understand or isn't aware of the extent to which the Steelers are committed to CA3 being WR3. Okay, that which is a very, very real thing. Eric says, DK, how's Ramon doing? Could have asked him yourself. We had a Ramon show at 2:00 today. George Brownfield apparently watched. Wait, he says they did a show today. I think, yeah, they did a show today. It was actually a really, really good show, which, by the way, you can still find in both video and audio form. There's Chris.
Hi.
You all sorted out. Look at you wearing green again. Get back off the show. Get out of here.
Hey,
what is that?
This is more Irish stuff. This is not Star stuff.
No, I see. You're so transparent. His Stars have a 3-1 lead on the Winnipegs in the series after another set of gifts from the referees. I'm sorry, another victory last night in Dallas. How about getting beaten by like two guys? You know, Miko Granlund and Mikhail Granlund. And it's tough to watch, man.
Don't forget about Otter, man.
No, Jake Ottinger has arguably been the best goaltender in the playoffs to date, and that's not saying nothing in that regard. Let's talk about WR2, Chris. How do you think that this will play out?
I do think they're going to end up adding somebody. I think they kind of have to. I don't know about the level, like the tier level in terms of if you're looking for like a DJ Moore type. While I think it's at least worth a phone call, I wouldn't be shooting that high. I think you just need to find somebody who can complement DK Metcalf more than try to be like another number one type like George Pickens was going to be. Romeo Doubs is a guy that I've kind of looked at because the Packers are loaded at receiver. He could be available possibly.
He's good too.
Yeah, I mean he could be a real player. He's not a number one guy, but
that's fine.
If DK Metcalf is your number one and Dobbs is your number two, with Calvin Austin being able to play both outside as the Z and in the slot, I think that could work for sure.
To me, more than anything, it's going to come down to fit. And it's not just a fit, like you're saying. It's not just about, is that person's, somebody's definition of WR1, or are they more? It's going to be more about what does Arthur need to fill out the offense. But, and I really feel like this is important, and by the way, overlooked in this scenario, the biggest need that you have is in case Metcalf gets hurt. Because as we saw, the Steelers' whole WR2 thing wasn't exposed this past season until there was no WR1. And then you're running all your, no offense, but you're running all your Scotty Millers and Ben Skoroneks and everybody else out there for routes in real games. Yeah. Austin says that Arthur doesn't utilize WR2. Well, not true. He does. He just doesn't utilize them the same way that most do. We've all seen the statistics for Van Jefferson, where he had a zillion snaps and he had almost no targets and whatever else. Why is that? Because they want a wide receiver to take somebody literally wide off the line of scrimmage, take a body off the line of scrimmage, and then have that individual be able to neutralize the opposing individual so that you have more space in the middle from which to run. Arthur loves doing that. That's great. But that, to me, does not solve the what happens if Metcalf goes down issue.
Yeah. I'm going back through. I'm going to pull up because I'm going to keep going back to what Arthur Smith did in 2019 and 2020 as the coordinator for the Titans. And because there's this big misconception that he just needs one receiver and that he just wants to play with 5 tight ends if possible. And it's just not true. I mean, like, yes, he likes to use multiple tight ends. There's no doubt about that. But it's not like he is opposed to the wide receiver position. I'm pulling that up right now. It's just not true.
No. Frank Mancuso says, does Roman Wilson have the size and the strength to be a WR2? I'm going to say this again. The WR2 in this setting needs to be capable of filling in for your WR1. Roman Wilson was on the field for 5 total snaps last season. He hasn't shown anybody anything yet. The fact that he has come in apparently motivated and in awesome shape and everything, that's really encouraging. Long way to go on that one. This isn't about wishing your way into a depth chart. I don't mean him. I mean everybody else. You know, there has to be something that's proven here. This player needs to be a real live player. Shaka Steele says this conversation is frustrating because we had George Pickens in house and now we're back to square one. Ridiculous. No, man, this is addition through subtraction. Everybody who brings this up never brings up that everyone wanted George gone. Okay. And if you, Shaka Steele, walked onto the Steelers complex today and you became one of them and you went in there and said, hey, this is an outrage that George is not here, you'd get shouted down so fast and so loudly. And somehow it's always convenient to just omit that. Okay. They wanted George gone. They also wanted him gone at a price that would benefit the Steelers.
Yeah, you can't just get rid of him. By the way, just got done looking it up. Corey Davis was the number 2 receiver for the Titans in 2019 and 2020. In 2020, he had 984 receiving yards when A.J. Brown had over 1,000.
Yeah,
so
that's how it goes.
He wants 2 receivers, like 2 primary receivers. Calvin Austin could be that guy. I don't think that that's necessarily the exact way that he wants to go about it. I think he'd like that. We talk about WR2, but the second receiver can be it can be different guys. It can be Romeo Doubs playing your typical Z. It can be Calvin Austin being able to play either the Z or in the slot. You can have a couple of different guys fill that type of a role. It doesn't have to necessarily be just one guy all the time, but there is a second receiver that is consistently utilized in an Arthur Smith offense. It's just the way he's operated.
AFL says, stop with the DJ Moore. Bears just signed him to a new contract. They aren't trading him. What do you mean stop with the DJ Moore? We didn't say anything.
I mentioned him.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
okay.
I mentioned him like earlier, but I'm like, I wouldn't shoot for that. That's what I was saying. Like, I don't think that's going to be the guy that they trade for.
Yeah, not everything that you hear is a prediction. And for me, nothing that I ever say is a prediction. So just sometimes, just throwing names out there here. Wandering Warrior says, get Mason a good wide receiving core to throw to. Well, he's already got good wide receivers, presuming whether it's Mason or anybody else at quarterback. He's got good players, and I don't want to undersell Cal here. Okay, Mike Jones says, just give Cal 4 go routes a game. Cal can do more than go routes, can't he, Chris?
Yes, he can. He has really grown into a much better route runner for sure. I think I'm trying to think of the right way to put this. I got to collect my thoughts on this one because like the second receiver thing is definitely like there's so much fear about like if DK Metcalf were to go down, that would be a major thing for all but 4 or 5 teams in the entire NFL. Like the Bengals don't have to worry that much if Jamar Chase goes down. It sucks, but they still have T. Higgins, who's like another number 1 receiver. Like there are only a few teams that have that type of a situation. There are a lot of teams that don't have that. And so it's like, I think everybody is just thinking, well, for a while the Steelers had that and then they traded it away. And now I'm upset about it. And it's like, it doesn't always have to be that way. That is a rare exception to what teams normally have. Teams don't normally have 2 number 1s. The Bengals have it. The Eagles have it. And then name me 10 more teams that have that. They don't.
Adams Media, who really needs to become a member here, dkps.net/join, says, Tyler Boyd, come home. Can the guy block still? Tyler was always able to block. Tyler can do anything. Except for one thing, he can't reverse the father time process. And he is 30, which is not ideal in wide receiver years. Now, the other thing about Tyler that kind of works for me, and I'm going to acknowledge a bias here where he's concerned. I know him, know his family. This is that Tyler was never, even at actually going all the way back to Clareton and Pitt, wasn't the guy who was some raw burner. Tyler had and has an extraordinary level to catch a football. Now, over his time in the NFL, especially because the Bengals ended up getting, my goodness, talk about loading up on wide receivers. Okay, nobody in the NFL has done it the way Cincinnati has.
Yeah.
Tyler found a niche that worked with those guys. He found a way to be, all right, well, here's Jamar Chase and here's T. Higgins. And then over here's Tyler. Okay. And Tyler would run his own routes, develop his own identity within the Joe Burrow offense. I have a hard time believing that at age 30 that Tyler can't still catch a football. So I don't know. Take this one from me, Chris, because again, I'm a little too close to that one.
My issue with adding Tyler Boyd is that the Steelers already have too many slot receivers as it is, and they don't need another one. That is the
niche that he carved. He moved in Cincinnati, whereas he wasn't that.
Yeah.
At Pitt, he was very much an outside go get him guy.
Yeah, and they already have Roman Wilson, who they need to give a chance. They need to give him a chance. You didn't draft him in the 3rd round just to be nobody. Yeah, you gotta. If he's healthy, you got to let him play. Then they signed Robert Woods. He's at his age, definitely more of a slot guy now, a guy who can go out there, run some stuff from the slot, throw some blocks in the run game. Then Calvin Austin can play in the slot some. I still think he's more of an outside receiver than he is the slot guy. But either way, I just named three guys. You add Tyler Boyd to that mix, you're not really addressing the need that you have on the outside. You need another guy who can be an outside guy.
Well, on that note, Russell Wheeler says, what about the possibility of the Steelers picking up Gabe Davis? It's come up a lot. And or Amari Cooper also has come up a lot. They've certainly got the cap room for a 1-year deal for either guy. They've got cap room, period.
They do. I think it's worth at least giving the call to the agent for sure and seeing what the price would be. Either guy can be. I think of Gabe Davis, and the main thing that he can do is run go routes and stretch the defense, and it would force the defense it would force the defense to be in more too high looks, which takes the safety out of the box, which takes some pressure off the run game a little bit. But Amari Cooper, if he can play, and he was getting open in Cleveland last year. Something happened with the injury or whatever it was, where he wasn't getting open whenever he went to Buffalo, which you think it'd be the opposite because of the situation Buffalo has as opposed to Cleveland. But if he's healthy and everything, I think it's at least worth looking into for sure. And plus they're free agents, so you have to give up anything other than money.
A steady stream now of Keenan Allen questions. He's 33.
It's also a slot.
And he's a slot. So what we're looking for here is not that. They can be a little bit older. They can be in that Allen Robinson period of their careers. But I'm going to keep pounding the same point. I get the feeling, getting a little sensitive here, that it's being ignored, that whoever it is that you get has to be able to replace WR1 if WR1, meaning DK Metcalf, goes down.
I think another guy that people aren't mentioning here, and it's because he was traded earlier this offseason, but who says he can't be traded again, and that's Christian Kirk. The Jaguars were going to completely cut him loose, and then the Texans threw a 7th-round draft pick in their direction. They're like, all right, well, we'll take a draft pick just to, instead of getting nothing for him. So they took the 7th-round pick and traded him. But now the Texans, after drafting both guys out of Iowa State, have a boatload of wide receivers. So maybe, just maybe, if you threw a 6th-round pick in their direction, They get return on their investment. You get a wide receiver that can play opposite George Pickens, DK Metcalf on the outside.
Yeah.
Win-win.
Michael Walden says, can we just put DK Metcalf in the copier machine and print out another one? If it's a 3D printer and it's a really, really big one, Mike, you might be able to get away with it. But I'm going to guess that 3D printer is also going to cost you another $150 million. So seems like a little bit of a reach here. Reginald Rivers challenges us from the uncle's table. Get a membership, dude. DKPS.net/join. Name a wide receiver that doesn't play the slot who would help the Steelers. One wide receiver who doesn't play the slot who could help the Steelers.
In today's day and age, every receiver plays the slot even a little bit. Even DK Metcalf will be lined up in the slot at times. But if you're talking about your traditional X or traditional Z, Romeo Doubs would be your guy to add. And the Packers have a loaded wide receiver room. I'd say Romeo Doubs or Christian Kirk would be the two guys. If you're looking for trade targets, those are the two guys, not only because they could fit, but also the teams that they're on have a surplus at receiver, so they have some incentive to at least listen to trade offers.
And that's another that bringing up Dobbs and Green Bay raises another related issue to this, which is that this is not something that has to happen in a raging hurry. Now, if I sound hypocritical when I say that, because I do say it about quarterback, you need a quarterback in all summer. I'm sorry, you just do. You're learning a new playbook, new coordinator, new team, new teammates, new everything. It's a totally different dynamic than bringing in a wide receiver and saying, run here, run there. Okay. If you're Omar Khan, there's going to be a Green Bay. Somebody has to come out of the Packers and all that depth that they have, but it's not going to be the only one. This position, as we saw with all of the Brandon Ayuk drama and everything, remember how after Ayuk fell apart, we were like, oh, no, what's going to happen? And the next day, there was just somebody else. And then the day after that, it was like, well, what about this guy? Because he just became available in some form or other. So it does happen. Then he wants to move Pat Freiermuth off a tight end. I think we froze Chris on that one, Denny. Look at him. He's totally frozen over there.
Yeah.
We're not moving Freiermuth to the outside. We're not doing that. Chris, we can actually hear you. You're okay.
Trying to figure it out.
I know. We're not moving Freiermuth to the outside.
No, they're not.
Lots of people bringing up Rock Taylor because he's the undrafted free agent guy that we're all going to get excited about before we even see him out there in a camp setting. Tell us about Rock Taylor. You there with us, Chris, or we lose you again? No, I don't think so. We're going to take a couple more today, and we're going to call it a show because we have this live thing that's coming tonight. Jay Miller says, what are the chances of 3 undrafted free agents making the team? We love undrafted free agents. Having 3 of them make the team would really be something here. That would really be something. Odell Beckham, come on, William.
Oh, no.
Tell us about Rock Taylor, Chris.
Well, he's definitely an interesting guy for sure because he's got great size. A lot of the stuff is very intriguing, but very, very raw in a lot of ways. Very, very raw. That's the best way that the route running, the catch, techniques, moving the hands away from the body when you're trying to catch on the run, a whole bunch of different things. It's just all raw. He needs to be coached up quite a bit, but the size and the athleticism is tantalizing for sure.
Rock Taylor up and down this thing. I love how these things just take on their own life. The number of people who have seen anything at all about Rock Taylor or seen him play or anything is it's probably a pretty short list. Mike Jones has the scouting report anyway. 6'3", 219, doesn't have breakaway speed, but can test for the ball like George. That reminds me, built like Metcalf almost. Who was the dude, the crazy specimen wide receiver guy that came in last year? Do you remember he was in training camp? Monstrous guy for a wide receiver. You guys are going to have to help me out here.
I can't think of a guy who was like built like a linebacker though.
It might have been the previous year then. I might be getting thrown here. It might have been the previous year. There was this just colossal wide receiver. You couldn't believe it when he came into the room that was his position.
Yeah.
And then he was, a guy from the XFL, John Malesko is pointing out here. But we still don't have a name here from any of you. Oh, yeah, UFL guy, says HMJ. Yeah, that's not good. No, it was not Kelvin Benjamin. It definitely was not Rock Taylor Scissors. We need an actual name. Enormous dude. Played for the Steelers, and then he went to UFL. Anyway, while we're thinking about him, and no, it was not Johnny Wilson. I don't even know what that means. Hakeem Butler is the one. John comes up with it. Couldn't believe this guy.
Yeah.
But even when interviewing him, I was like, wait a second. They're like, my first, second, and third questions were something along the lines of, wait, you're a wide receiver? Now, at the same time, when you saw him out there, you also could see what the limitation was. Okay, there were not great hands. And once he did catch the ball, if he did, there wasn't a whole lot happening afterward.
Yeah.
And that's a tough place to be in the modern NFL. Yes, you value the size, the toughness, the combat catch component, but you got to be able to do something with it. There's got to be some yak, and there's got to be some consistency too. And Mark Cunningham says, but he dropped the ball literally.
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, they're again, these receivers sometimes that come out of college, they are very, very tantalizing in a lot of ways, but there's usually a reason these guys go undrafted, and it's because they need coached up quite a bit, or they lack explosive metrics when it comes to their speed or their the vertical or the broad jump, whatever it is. They're not a phenomenal athlete, whatever it is. But when you see a receiver of Rock Taylor's size, of course it's going to be interesting, and you're going to bring him in and take a look and see what he does. But then there's, okay, how's his route running? How are they, like, I mean, route running in and of itself is a huge thing that can make or break a receiver regardless of size. I mean, Deontay Johnson, literally, if he doesn't become the route runner he doesn't make it. He does not make it as a traditional X receiver because he's not an X size, but he could play it because he was able to get separation from almost anybody. Route running is a major thing that people need to know how to do. Sorry.
Michael Walden gets the last word on today's show. He says, I heard Chase Claypool might be available. Yes, I have as well. In fact, there are exactly two teams that will be pursuing him. The Rough Riders and the Rough Riders. I'm kidding. There's actually only one Rough Riders left in the CFL since the Ottawa franchise is now called something else. I can't remember what, because they keep changing it to, what's the Ottawa CFL team called now?
Honestly, I hear Rough Riders. I think of the Frisco Rough Riders, the Rangers AA team.
Okay, the Ottawa team is called the Red Blacks. That's what they're called now. Oh, that's not a bad logo either. I don't know what it means. I don't know what it's in reference to. Oh, wait, here. Why are they called the Ottawa Red Blacks? Oh, no. Are you ready? You're not going to believe why they're called the Red Blacks. The name refers to the team's uniform colors of red, black, and white.
Yep.
That they named the team after their colors instead of the other way around. Well, at least they're not a second set of Rough Riders. Chris and I will be back later tonight to do a live show. I don't know exactly when, but we'll let you know. We'll send out alerts and stuff through social media and whatever to let you know when we're going to be on to talk about the Steelers schedule release. If you hang on here, we're going to do a little bit of a business thing. All right, guys, wrapping this one up kind of quickly here because we got the other show that we're going to do tonight. It is members only. If you're not a member, that's not going to jibe with this process because the only way you'll be able to watch the show is to be a member. It's dkps.net/join. It's 99 cents a month. You can do this. Kirk Dreyer just did it. I mean, if Kirk Dreyer can do it, what's your excuse? Steelers sounds like a slogan, right? Steelers South came in with a couple of bucks. Eric came in with 5. Carrie's always good for dropping that one. Carol, who's devastated by Ramon Foster today, suggesting that a Mason Rudolph-led group of Steelers would only be worth about 7 or 9 wins. She's taken it really hard, but she still found the strength and the courage to drop 10 on us today. Butthole just wants to hear his name. Macaroni Salad left 5 behind. So did Jeffrey Carr. And bringing up the rear, but never in your hearts, is our man Vic. Guys, we will see you. I mean, they do the schedule at around 8. It all comes out. All the teams put out their social videos and all that other stuff here, whatever. My guess is that it'll be around 8:30. And we'll go through the whole thing game by game. We'll analyze it, break it down. We might even panic just so that we can fit in. All right? We'll see you then.